How do you find meaningful activity if you haven't pursued it in a long time?
Randy, phenomenal question. And it's difficult to answer because meaningful activity is always individualized.
Mm-hmm.
It's dependent on your goals, it's dependent on what fires you up, it's dependent on the environment because if you're if you're in a shootout, your meaningful activity is staying alive.
Mm-hmm.
So in those situations, your body and soul is going to change what meaningful activity means, right? For some people, it might be painting. Some people might be walking. Some people might be catching up with a friend. Some people might be playing some pickleball. Some
Mm-hmm.
people might be pick up basketball. It might be watching some old highlight films, might be going through some old yearbooks, reminiscing, celebrating someone who's not physically with us anymore. So that meaningful activity is it's always individualized to you in the season that you're in and what your body is asking you for,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you haven't experienced it in a long time and you're not sure where to start, my hypothesis would be that your mind is too cluttered right now, that your body and your soul is asking you for this thing, but you have way too much going on between the ears to be able to listen to that. So the first step is that you have to declutter the brain. How do you do that? Again, it's individualized to everyone. You don't have to sit on the floor, crisscross applesauce, making circles and going, like some people that works for. Other people, it's throwing on some classic rock and jamming out. Other people might be going to a comedy show. Some people might be going to a hockey game. But it's doing that thing that brings you joy, that allows you to not be thinking about what you need to do next or what's on the plate for tomorrow or the next week or the month or the quarter or the year. It's that time where you're just still. And still doesn't mean that you're not moving, because for some people it could be a walk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And go on a walk, I mean, have your phone for safety in case something's needed, but turn off your notifications. Just go for a long walk and just let yourself be in those moments. Once your brain becomes decluttered a bit more, I think it becomes more clear as to what is that meaningful activity that I am longing for.
Mm-hmm.
Because the amazing thing about our neural system and our body and our soul and our mind and this interconnectedness of all of that is that it knows. It knows what it wants, it knows what it needs, and it's going to request it if you're willing to listen to it. And it will keep requesting it and keep requesting it. We just need to have our ears open. And to do that, the first step is just decluttering. Just have those moments, those quick moments to declutter. Don't think, like, don't sit there and go, what's the meaningful activity? Like, literally just do an activity that you've been wanting to do and then just be in there. And as a thought pops up, listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something like, I used to use this imagery a lot because I had a very cluttered brain when I first got out of school and was working clinically, was working with three different teams, was working as an adjunct professor, had a lot going on, a lot of clutter in my brain. I didn't get this note done. I didn't email this person back. I got to call this athlete back and their parent and their physician, and super cluttered. And I was like, dang, I need to declutter this a little bit. And I was like, well, I'm just going to close my eyes and breathe. And I closed my eyes and breathed, and all of the thoughts were still there. Every thought was there, and almost got even worse because now I didn't have distractions. And I almost realized like how cluttered my brain actually was.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, what I did for myself that worked was I envisioned all of these thoughts on sticky notes, and they're floating around my brain. What I would visualize is the sticky note being crumbled up, and I envisioned a hand just batting it away. And it was saying, not that this thought is not important, we're not throwing it away, but we're putting it to the side.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting it to the side. It will come up later when you need it. Like, we'll uncrumble it so that you can read it, but right now, crumble, slapping it away. So I had to visualize this with every thought that was coming up. Did you do the dishes? Crumble that up, swat it aside. Did you get groceries? Crumble that up, swat it aside. It's 5 minutes in a day that we can go without thinking about all the things that we need to do. But I had to practice that for a good 2 to 3 months
Mm-hmm.
before I could get to a place where I could close my eyes, take a deep breath, and just go, I'm uncluttered. I'm here to listen to what my body and soul is telling me. So that worked for me. May not work for you. Again, it's individualized, but it's finding that thing that allows you to declutter and not play. One of our good friends that we play basketball with, he said it so beautifully. Basketball is my sandbox.
Mm.
When I'm between these lines on the court, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just playing and I'm just enjoying myself. Like, that is stillness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you need to find before you start searching to get back to that meaningful activity.
Right. I think it's just giving yourself space.
Yeah.
Right? Like in my heart I was like, "Oh, you have to give yourself space to dream again." But maybe you can't dream again yet because you're so cluttered. But giving yourself just space to be and to receive, like you said, listen, receive, like that's going to go a lot farther. And we live in such a busy world with a lot of chaos. There's politics, there's war, there's fighting, there's just drama, and then there's, Hollywood living, and then there's social media stereotypes and expectations, and you name it. The world is out there and it's crazy. And there's a lot of beauty in the world too, don't get me wrong. But it's so important to just give yourself a little bit of space to breathe and to receive.
Yeah. 100%. And you're so good at taking my 8 to 10 minute answer and summarizing it into like 30 to 45 seconds.
Well, I guess that's the gift of being on my side of the podcast.